Hello and welcome to Two Beards, a podcast on Wrexham AFC, proudly brought to you by KY Jelly. That's right, get some lube for your tube. Adrian, mate, how you going?
Dude, I genuinely okay. So straight up, I'm going well. I'm also just thought we got our first sponsorship of the pod, and I actually for a second was like, "Oh my god, is this how he announces it?" And then it's fucking lube. So just predictable. I don't know why I was blindsided by that, but anyways, I'm going well. Having a
Off
beer.
to a banger of a start with that one.
Oh, I don't even know where to go from here, mate. But we can go into a lube review later on.
I might need a couple of minutes for that one. Oh dear, what a week it's been anyway. It's been pretty crazy. We've had some good responses on our videos lately and it seems we picked up the algorithm, which is great.
God
But
knows why. Let's be honest. Is it because it's
geez.
like someone just goes next to their phone? We were just having a discussion off air before around like how like recommendations happen. But I wonder if people who don't even like Wrexham are just getting it because they write like say next to their phone like lube, fucking lube, fuckheads, and like just keywords, and then their phone's just like, all right, here you go. This is the content for you, and it's just a bald ginger and his mate from Perth. So
That's right. But hey, we've got we've got our fuckheads. Speaking of our fuckheads, Will Sudworth, JW Craig, and Aaron is your fan. We love you. Thank you for coming on board and being a patron. And if you want to be a patron or fuckhead, if you want to be a fuckhead, then join. Link will be in the description. It's $5 a month. You get what do you get, Adrian?
well, you can get a Discord channel that currently has a few people. And then we also have, what do we get? Discounted merch. I have sent those to the welcome packs to those people to their email addresses. And that will go directly to you as well if you become a patron slash fuckhead. But I think probably the biggest out of what we do here is not just, a private Discord for it. It's not about the discounted merch. Let's be real. It's about the sweet fuck all.
Over there. That will be.
Yeah,
I'm going to edit
that's
that one
it.
in. That's easy.
That's it. Yeah. But no, honestly, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure to have people who, are wanting to help us fund our business and our endeavors, but also probably the biggest one for me is, and it's something that, we keep closely to us is, we want so badly to go to Wrexham and be a part of that and get amongst the atmosphere and be amongst the locals. So that you're helping us get towards that goal as well. So that does not go unnoticed. So I appreciate you. We all both do. Yeah. But mate, we've had a bit of a weird one. Our week's been a bit thrown out of whack. We're doing a recording on a Tuesday night instead of the usual Wednesday, and that means we don't know who won out of the Walsall Wrexham game. So we will hopefully get a win. You know what? Let's do two reactions. One is just like, we did it, we fucking won, yeah, amazing. And then the second one is just, all right, we drew, but it was a valiant draw. And then loss, I'm just going to go bottle myself right now on camera because if we lose another game, I'm done. No, I'm joking.
Well, the reason why we're recording on another night compared to obviously the nights we normally record, which is a Wednesday night, is because Australia are going to be versing England in the World Cup. So we will talk about that just after this. Well, women's soccer. Who would have thought 2023, here we are, and we are enthralled with women's soccer. And I got to say, for me, it started with Wrexham and Wrexham's women's team. But
Yeah.
what this World Cup has been to women's soccer has just accelerated it like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
The following, backing here in Australia at the moment. It's literally tomorrow. The whole of Australia is literally going to stop to watch this game.
Yep.
Now I know a lot of our Welsh fans may be like, "Oh, yeah, we'll follow Australia because it's they're against England," but and some may be like, "What following England?" And if you do, good. I've actually got to come out and say it here. It's my worst nightmare is happening, and that is Australia versus England in the World Cup.
Yeah. Women's
Um,
football is at an absolute all-time high, my friend. And I think we're seeing it. I mean, the FIFA president came out and said, it's the best women's World Cup we've ever had. And Australia and New Zealand have been great hosts. So it's really good to have it in our host nation as well. And I think that also attributes to why, the Tillys, which is the nickname for the Matildas, which is a nickname for the Australian women's team, are doing so well is because they have that backing. If you had told anyone a couple of years ago that the Australian women's football team would be not only in a semi-final of a World Cup, but having and drawing crowds, not even for the Tillys games. I'm talking like Morocco, fucking South Korea. I'm talking all of these random games and having, 30, 40, 50,000 people. And now with the Tillys there in the biggest stadiums having 80,000. And I'm sure that final, if we were to make it, would be 100,000. That's ridiculous to me. And that's just something that I will never get over. And I think it just needs to be said, women's football is here to stay, and it is on for young and old.
I love that. I really love that. Women's football is here to stay. And I really think that it's something that people, if you haven't gotten behind it yet, it's really worth it. These girls pour their heart out. And I'm really, really looking forward to the women's season starting for Wrexham, that's for sure. Seeing our girls on the field again and giving their all is just going to be a really, really special season for them. And I wish them all the best. And I know I just touched on it before. It's going to be my worst nightmare. It's Australia versus England. It's going to be a case where I'm going to say this. I'm backing the Tillys and the Matildas to go through. Australia will win.
Can't Australia.
I'm going to be cheering them with all my might. And then if they don't get through, then I'm cheering on England.
But I think what's great about what you just mentioned, so for you guys who don't know or haven't checked, the result will be out when this episode has been released. So if you didn't know the result, check it, because you'll get to see either Chris and I both happy or just Chris happy. So I think that's probably that's the outcome of that game. So if the Chili's win, we're both happy, we're both enthralled. Next, like, that World Cup final is going to be insane. Spain have qualified. They beat Sweden 2-1 in an incredible match, which basically saw Spain score in the 81st minute, Sweden then score in the 88th to equalize. But then in the 90th minute, Spain came out and won the game in an absolute heart stopper. And for me, mate, I'm talking about these games, and I know a lot of the listeners are like, well, who cares, whatever, we weren't a part of it, or maybe because the US, got knocked out quite early. But this has been one of those things where it's opened my eyes to understanding, yes, club football is amazing, and club football is probably, and it is, and we both can admit this, is paramount to both of us. Wrexham is our number one love. That's just doesn't stop. But in saying that, it's really good to be a part of international football, because us as Aussies, we really haven't had, I mean, prior to 2006, we were nowhere to be seen. We wouldn't be on the map. We weren't qualifying for World Cups. Obviously, we've had some great, games during World Cups, Timmy Cahill in 2006, and even just last year with, Matthew Leckie scoring, that winner against Denmark to get us through to the round of 16. But I think what I love about what we're talking about is Australia are a part of this. And it's crazy because we never get to see the tribalism of going for your country in this sport. You see the Wallabies, you see all this other shit, and that's fine. But this is different. This is football fans, and this is the whole country.
This has a different feel. And the fact
Definitely.
is, the whole country is literally going to stop tomorrow night. We had a banger of an episode planned out for tomorrow, and
Yep.
we've had to really just think on the fly and change it around because we just literally could not miss this game. It's going to be epic on proportions like we've never known before. This is
Correct.
brilliant. So I'm super pumped. I'm super pumped.
Okay.
I can
I'm
feel it in my bones, in my
yeah.
plums.
And your plums again, buddy.
Feel it
No,
in my
look,
plums.
it's so
Yeah.
good because, like, yeah, I mean, the result will be out now. So if you haven't checked it, check who won between Australia and England and who will be facing Spain in that World Cup final.
And many
But
of those girls that play in the Aussie team, they play in the English league. And
yeah, the Super League.
we all know Sam Kerr. Everyone knows Sam Kerr. She's one of the
Yep.
world's best strikers, and
Yep.
she's a downright good lady. I actually have met her and know her like through her dad and through like what I do for work. But she's a special girl, and
Plays for
I think
Chelsea.
she's like the Paul Mullin. She's like the Paul Mullin.
She's definitely the Paul Mullin of the Tillys, that's for sure.
Oh,
But in saying that, Sam Kerr's been out for this entire tournament until most recently, where she's been able to come off the bench and just kind of wreak havoc, which has been really good. But like, for example, that's just one person. You know, you got Steph Catley. She's been stand-in captain. I used to go to school with her. She plays for Arsenal in the Super League. And again, look, these are irrelevant. I know we want them to play for Wrexham, but how cool would it be if Wrexham was watching, like scouts were watching, and, you know, maybe they're not picking up the players who are in the Super League, but maybe they're picking up, you know, people that maybe haven't had the spotlight on them, and we could see them playing for it. And I would love to see one of the Matildas, Aussie Matildas, playing for Wrexham women's team, because that season's coming up, and we'll do a review closer to that as well.
oh look, I think that would be really good. I mean, we need more Aussies on the Wrexham team, that's for sure. And I know Dale Morgan's really good, but Mackenzie Arnold, oh my gosh,
Yeah, fuck.
oh my
Superstar.
gosh,
Yep.
what a
Goalkeeper of the
gun!
tournament for sure.
Oh, she's amazing. I love her. I love her. And yeah, Sam Kerr, Cooney Cross is great. Viney, when she took that penalty, heart was in my mouth. Like for a penalty to go to 10 rounds,
Yep.
it's never happened before.
No. And
And
this is just
in
context
any
for people again who
competition.
didn't know. We played France in the quarterfinals. It went to penalties, and yeah, it was one of the longest penalties in World Cup history, men's and women's, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So pretty epic. Yeah, to win that was just, I mean, you guys will probably, if you Google or even YouTube, the Tillys beating France, you will see the reaction videos from every state, from Perth to Sydney to Melbourne to Adelaide, Queensland, Brisbane, you know, and just the sheer enormity. There was even a video, I don't know if you saw, of the people who were on the plane, on, it looked like a Qatar Airlines flight or something, and they all had the Matildas game
Dude,
on
they
their
were
little chairs.
this is how crazy this is, right? And they were stopping legitimate Australian football games, AFL games,
Yes.
to play the penalty shootouts. And
Yep.
when they tried to, they did it over here in Perth, where it was a Western Derby, Eagles versus Dockers. There's nothing bigger to us than the Western Derby, right? They were playing it on the screen and they cut it out to start the game, and everyone booed. Everyone booed. So what did they do? They delayed the start of the game and they put it back on the screen.
Smart.
So it's like,
And
that is
honestly,
gold,
it's
absolute
great.
gold.
And it just shows, and look, like, we might be talking here and talk about Matildas, and it, you know, we might be out. By the time this episode is aired, we might have lost to the Lionesses, and that's okay. But something that needs to be said about this, and why we're bringing this up in this podcast, is, as I've mentioned before, women's football is here to stay. And this just shows how a whole nation can get behind it. And I know the Welsh people get behind their girls as well. And I know that the Wrexham fans will get behind their girls as well. So honestly,
Mm.
you know, Australia, even if they were to be knocked out in the semi-final and not make this final, it's still an incredible effort, and I think it's
Oh,
done a world of good
yeah. And
for Australian football.
if you strip the bare bones out of it, right? We're Aussies and we're a football podcast, so we're going to talk about this sort of stuff, and lead it into Wrexham, and I really do hope that Wrexham sign some of those Aussie girls. That'd be so good.
Oh, if Wrexham just sign one, and then I want our pod to be the sponsor for it, because I know that like Rob, Ryan, Red, and the friends that we have all sponsor clubs, and we can do that too. But it's hard when like most of the senior players are taken. But if we could get an Aussie and we could be the ones who, sponsor them on match day, it would make my life. So
Oh,
Wrexham, if you're
absolutely.
listening, just have a watch, turn on the TV, Matildas, Lionesses. It's going to be a pretty good game. So maybe pick one out for us and sign her up.
Yes, please, Wrexham.
I
All
love that,
right.
mate. I love it.
Well, on that note, we're going to talk
Yes.
about Wrexham because we are Wrexham fans. So
Yes.
let's talk about Wrexham. So Wrexham played Wimbledon.
Wemby. The
Oh,
Wombles.
the real Dons.
The
Well,
real Dons. That's the way to put it.
okay. So straight off the bat, we all knew that this league would not be a walkover. But all these
I
other
did, at
teams
least.
out there at the moment, and I listened to a Walsall podcast just on the way in home from work, just to sort of get a gauge of where they're at. And they're all saying, "Oh, Wrexham think we're going to walk the league," and rah rah rah. No, most Wrexham fans don't think we're going to walk the league. The bookies have us as favourites, and the media are jumping on board like crazy. And it's making these other teams think that our fans are delusional. We're not delusional. We know how hard it's going to be. We know we don't have Paul Mullin at the moment. We know that it's not going to be easy. I'm still backing them to go back to back. I still think they'll win the league because, coincidentally enough, their start to this season is exactly the same as the start to last season before they went on a winning run. That could still possibly happen. Will it happen? Probably not, but I'm still backing them to win the league. So that's my little piece on that. Walsall coming up tonight. I wish you all the best. We've got our predictions out for that. Head over to our last episode if you want to see our
Yeah. Well,
predictions.
like, I think what's great again is you mentioned we make our predictions. I don't think we'll go back to back. I think we'll hopefully get promotion, maybe get maybe a playoff spot as well. And I've said that for the fact that, we don't want to seem delusional. I'd rather be wrong and win the fucking league than feel disappointed that we didn't get to there. But also Wimbledon, we said it in the last game, in the last pod. We thought we would win. I thought we would win 1-0. I think you agreed 1-0 as well, or 2-0. And I think, yes, maybe, well, our prediction was wrong, but we weren't wrong in the fact that that is going to be one of the harder games we'll have, because it is our first away fixture in the EFL. And honestly, we probably maybe even were lucky to get a draw. If you look back at the way that we played, yes, we can look at statistics, and yes, we can look at a couple of shit ref calls, but other than the goal that we kicked, they had a lot of chances and they had a lot of opportunities as well. So yes, I
look,
think that
I
it could
do.
have been better.
Yeah, they had a few opportunities, but I think honestly, Wrexham played better. They probably deserve to have that win, in my eyes. Like I that Elliot Lee goal, I know he booted it hard and it sort of went over and it took a deflection and trickled in, but we were really, really good defensively, which we didn't have the last game. So obviously that we worked on it, and there was a new formation with a box midfield, which was quite interesting. I didn't quite understand it until I sort of saw it break down and saw how they're using the wingers as a box. Um, it and having McLean sort of running along the wing up front as well, which was a bit strange. I thought might have been a bit out of position. So clearly that he's trying different things and different play styles, but just the way they played, their aggressiveness in front of goal, I think Wrexham had more chances and they probably deserved to win it.
So I'll counter
That
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 just with
that penalty in my eyes was not a penalty. Oh, and the first penalty, I take back everything I said about Ben Foster in the last podcast. He deserved to start that game. He was actually on fire. He was phenomenal. So Ben Foster, I'm sorry, mate. I know I didn't have
No,
your back in the
I was
long
the same. I was the same. I text Rousey during the game because I was actually watching it from my phone. And I'm watching it on my phone, and to do that, I can't text because obviously the game's on. But I literally took the stream off after he saved that first penalty, and I just went to Rousey. I'm like, I take back everything. I take back everything that we said. But look, speaking on this game, look, yes, look, is a divided opinion on social media on who, if we deserved a win or if we didn't. I'm on the other side of the coin from you, Rousey, where I think a draw was correct. A draw was adamant to what we were. 50-50 possession, expected goals. You were talking about opportunities in front. Wimbledon had more. So Wimbledon had 13 shots to 10. Yes, only a few more, but then again, we go off of the draw mentality that it should have been a draw. Expected goals was Wimbledon 2.13. Expected goals for Wrexham was only 1.27, and that's to do with big chances. And Wimbledon had 2 big chances, and we only had the one, which was Dolby's header, which was a bit of a sitter that he probably should have hit. But
Actually, I want to stop you right there, right? Dolby should have scored that goal.
Mhm.
Right. If he is the striker that, we're all touting him to be, he should have scored that goal. It was there for the taking. It was his goal. It was literally an open face in front of him. He could have headed it in if he had done it correctly. And I just think, we haven't seen Dolby score in a long time. Same as Palmer. We haven't seen these guys score in a long, long time, and we're kind of like, well, are these strikers? Do we have the strike force to be able to counter the fact that we don't have Mullin at the moment? My opinion on that is that I'm sort of leaning towards that we don't, and we're just trying to tread water until he comes back. But I'm sort of like I can see the other side of it is that we are really just getting going.
Yep.
Like it is really the start of the season. It's too soon to tell. We can see that we're still building, and it's a long bloody season, and anything can happen. It's just football. So
Yeah, well, we had
anything can happen.
anything can happen, and
Anything can happen. Like literally anything can happen.
anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Rousey can
Ollie, on
show
the
up
other
and
hand,
streak down the field
Jesus
with a
Christ.
Two Beards logo on my back.
You know what? I quit. So Ollie Palmer got honestly, I thought that was his best outing in a red shirt in a long time. I know he probably didn't get fed the ball as much as he probably should have. And I think that he had a good one. But to the people on Twitter who have no fucking idea and think that they've seen enough of Ollie Palmer and that, something needs to change, can literally shove it up their ass, because that bloke,
He's a
name a player in our
him.
squad who could do better than that with what we're given right now. Name a player that would do a better job. No, you can't name one.
Yeah,
we thought Dolby could do it, and he's not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would slap his cheeks hard. Come to
I've already
think of
given
it,
up on
actually,
you, mate.
perfect point, right? We never see streakers anymore, right? So,
You got to stop smoking doobies before fucking recording. I'm telling you, you got to stop, bro.
But we never see streakers anymore, and I don't think you'll ever see a streaker at a Wrexham game. And do you know why?
Because Rousey's not there.
Well, that too. But you'll never see a streak at a Wrexham game because they don't
Right.
want to give up their seat because it's so damn hard to come by.
Exactly. That is a very good point. But here's just a little like I'm going to look to the camera here, right? This is my time to shine, all right? Because this is how we sell this. Okay, this pod, we work our asses off. My man here will do anything for us to get to Wrexham, and that's why we have Patron programs. That's why we have all of these things where we're making content for people. Two Beards Media is doing well. We're doing these things, but if you want to see Chris Rouse streak at Wrexham, then you become a patron right now. Because if you become a patron, that money will go straight into his fine that he will be paying, or legal fees, because I don't know what it's like. I don't know if he'll get deported, but who knows? Let's find out together. Get on board.
Well, I mean, my body's the shape of the round ball, so if I sort of paint myself up to look like a soccer ball, I can at least get kicked about a bit. Yeah. Maybe Ben Tozer can throw me.
Oh my god. You know what's funny about this entire little skit that's happening right now is that all I can picture is not like, it's just Chris's face just really happy that Ben Tozer's holding him, and he's like just smiling and just beaming from ear to ear, because that would have made his life. But anyways, guys, look, I'm not going to ask you to do much. Don't do it for me. Do it for Rousey's fine that he's going to pay when he streaks Wrexham. All right, thanks.
They're never going to allow us in there now. You do realize that.
Fleur, if you're listening, Fleur, look,
I'll be on my best behavior, I promise.
He says he'll be on his best behavior, but if you're listening to the audio medium, Fleur, you should probably change it to the camera medium. You can just see Rousey planning and ticking over. You can see in his face, he's thinking of ways. Which exit is he going to go? Is he going to go from the new cop?
And you know what? I don't have to completely streak. I can wear me Dax and I can just peek out a left testicle and just do it like that if you want. Then,
that's how you go to jail for indecent exposure.
Well, it's one ball. Like you're not even. You're not seeing the shaft. You're not seeing.
No, I think it's the streaking rule, bud. I think it's a streaking rule. Like, it's either all or nothing, if you do anything in between, it's a felony. But if you do everything, then I think they're okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I'll look fantastic under the new lights. I really would. Everyone
under those diamonds.
Oh,
lovely. Yeah. But speaking of, look, we won't go into the Walsall game because that game will have already played. So let's hope we won. But looking at the next game that we have ahead, so we have Swindon at home.
Oh, speaking of which, there is some new information I discovered. I just want to touch on Walsall.
His ADD's kicking in real hard right now, but continue.
They beat Stockport, dude.
Yep.
Fucking hell. Ouch.
Yep.
This is going to be a nasty game.
It's going to be a tough one, honestly. I mean, especially if we don't get this win, if we don't get a win or even a draw against Walsall. I'm not saying panic stations because it really isn't. You can literally lose 10 games in this league and you could still make promotion. So I'm not panicking just yet, but obviously it must ride on the brains of the players. Basically, if they go into a Swindon team who's beating Stockport, I mean, Stockport are in a similar boat to us, I guess, but I think they didn't even get a draw. They've lost both their games. So Swindon is something to, I guess, be weary of, but also if we can win against Walsall, we can then push forward. If not, obviously, then it gets a bit jittery because the home crowd, as much as it can be nice and loud, can also be a bit of a cauldron for frustration, which obviously can happen. So look, let's go into a prediction because I want to ask you first of all.
You know what we need to do? We need to get all the fans there.
He's ADD again, boys and girls.
With arrows. Have you seen that clip where it was a football team and they hardly ever scored, so all their fans got arrows pointing towards the goal?
Yeah.
we
I mean, it's
need
not that we
that.
hardly score. We scored 3 against MK Dons. If you told me we'd score 3 against MK Dons pre-season, I would have said I'd be laughing. But
Yeah, everyone's focused on our defeat, right?
yeah,
Everyone's focused on the defeat with MK Dons, and it's like
yeah,
we
we still
scored
put 3
three
past them.
goals. We put
Yeah,
3 goals past them, and yes, it was a very odd scoreline for the EFL as well. So we're not doing too bad. Like
no,
we're nuisances. We're causing trouble. We're, we're getting our play style together, and I think it's going to come a time when it'll just click, and then we'll start winning more and more. But do I think we're going to walk the league? Fuck no,
no, of course not.
not a chance. Not a chance. I've
But
got more chance getting laid this year than we do of walking the league. So,
Jesus Christ! All
like,
right,
come on.
so playing Swindon. Back to that one. We looking at a team like you said, a tough one, a tough matchup. Again, I mean, excluding the MK Dons game, well, that's 1 goal. Obviously, we didn't score any against Wigan in that Carabao Cup tie. So I'm thinking it's not going to be a score fest. It's not going to be a goal fest. I'm probably putting us a. I'm actually going to go with a 2-0 win. I know that our defense has been lacking. But I do believe that they've kind of brought McLean in, they've brought Boyle in to actually play in that defense. Once we get Hayden back, and I'm hoping he's back very soon, then I just don't see people getting past us. It's just I don't see us kicking, the old 4s and 5 goals we were kicking in the National League. So for me, I'm going with a 2-0. But what about you, Chris? What are you looking at with this Swindon match?
I'm going to go for 1-0.
Yep.
I think we will win it. Obviously at home again, so I think we'll win it. I think we'll probably go 1-0. I don't see us scoring a hell of a lot of goals over the next
Yeah.
couple of weeks. Um, I, you know,
Unless we sign someone in the
the
next
league's tough. The league is
week.
tough, and everyone that shows up to Wrexham, they show up to play. Um, it's going to be a tough league, and I think it's shown with like the Notts County games, even though they just had a win in their last game, but they just scraped by with that win. Like it wasn't easy for them.
Yeah.
Um, you know, uh, I think yeah, I'm gonna go 1-0. I'm gonna go one
Yeah.
nil.
No,
Um,
and I would have agreed with you. Only reason I'm not going 1-0 is I think I've gone 1-0 for like the last 2 games of predictions, and it's just not panned out for me. So I'm just
mm,
changing it up this week.
I
But
know, I know for the Walsall game as well, I said 2-0. I think I'm going to stick with that as well. I'm going to stick at 2-0. I
yeah,
think.
mine was 3-0 prediction. So guys, I could be really, really stupid right now. You're listening to this going, Walsall, we just
Well,
got done 6-0.
do you think we've improved every game? Do you think we've improved every game?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, and I think we have too. I think you can clearly see we're building into something.
Yep.
We didn't hit the ground running like many people wanted, but we're building into something. And
Yep.
I have every faith in Parky. I have every faith in the club.
Yep.
And I think that, we brave the start of the season. We try and block out all the fuckheads that have listened to the media and bagging out Wrexham because they think our fans are too cocky.
That's the first time
Um,
I've ever heard you use fuckhead as a derogatory term. You usually use it as a term of endearment. So now I know you're serious because you're like, shit, okay, fucking shit. Oh my God, all right.
yeah, it does annoy me a little bit, but anyway, we'll.
But it's good though, you know what? And I think like, it's like assholes. Like opinions are the same as assholes, Everyone's got one. And it's just unfortunate that we can't all agree on the same thing, and that's the point of the human race is we never agree on anything. Politics, fucking, that is an example of it. Football
Mm,
is the biggest example of it. You could go for the same club but have completely polarized opinions, and people are just douchebags on the internet. And we did the PSA last week, so we're not going to have to do it again. But I think what I'm liking to see, and I'm starting to see it happen a little bit more, is people are starting to, well, the majority are starting to get over, you know, the international fans coming to the racecourse for games, and going away as well. So
I think
I'm
it's because
really
they've
loving that.
the club has allocated a certain amount of tickets to international fans.
No, I
So
know, but I know that. I'm just
hmm.
saying people were mad about that. They were like, well, that's 75 tickets that could have gone to the members. That's 75 tickets that could have gone to season ticket holders. So that's where the
And
anger was
I
coming
have
from.
to counter that by saying, bitch, like with whoever's coming there internationally is flying a hell of a long way,
Yeah.
hell of a long
Oh, I
way
agree. I'm not
to come and see
disagreeing with
it.
you
It's
here,
like
mate.
it's not like we got to walk down the road and watch the game. Like they're coming, and it's only
They're
75,
spending 5K.
75 tickets out of a 10,000.
Yeah.
Like
But you gotta like and look, man, my point was
I can
not to
tell you
talk about
now,
the neck. Oh my fucking god.
it'll cost us upwards of $20,000 to do a trip to Wrexham and back, right? If I get
Yeah,
there and I can't see a game because there's no international tickets, I'm going to be pretty cut.
yeah, but of course, but this is where I'm getting at is there was a discourse around it, but now there's not. I'm saying there's good things. There's
Yeah,
good things
these
happening
are
now.
good things.
And
These
I'm
are good
loving
things.
to see it because I'm loving to see the Americans being, touted as true fans because they are. Everyone is. If you like, I love seeing the Wrexham locals tweeting in defense of people, fucking Notts County Zone coming out and being like, oh, the poor season ticket holders for Wrexham. I'd be pissed if it happened to my club. Seeing, Greg from Ohio going to a game, it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, who are you to say, who's a fan? He's not a fan when they're losing because he blocks his account and deletes it every time they lose. He deleted it midway through one of the playoff games that they were losing at the time. So the guy has no leg to stand on. But my point is the proper Wrexham fans
Are you
are
talking about
getting
Notts
around
County
them.
fan there? Yeah,
Yes, Notts County Zone. Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah. So but what I'm talking about now is the Americans are getting around
Well,
the Wrexham locals.
speaking
Vice
of bullshit, I've got a bone to pick, right? Because we're talking about things that are bullshit. I'm gonna just say this, and we'll touch a little bit on club news here because it is bullshit. The update we got about Paul Mullin was not really a fucking update, was it? What the
Not
fuck is
really,
that
no.
shit about? Like, oh yeah, no, we've had good news regarding Paul Mullin. Well, what good news, motherfucker? Tell us. We want to know how long is our talisman going to be out? How long do we have to suffer until we find out just how bad it is?
It's
Like,
probably to stop opposition calculating him into the equation. Because what happens if he comes up against Barrow in 2 weeks? And all of a sudden, people are like, oh shit, he's that soon? Barrow having to counter that. You want your team that you're playing to probably not know when he's coming back. And you want him to maybe surprise, come off the bench like the fucking Undertaker and be like, let's fucking go. And like just walk on the pitch and they're like, oh my God, he's back from the dead. That's what you want. Whereas if you do say, "Hey, he's back in 2 weeks against Tranmere or whoever we got," no, we got in 2 weeks we got Barrow. Then they know that. Then the teams before it know that. So I get why they haven't done it, but I do get your point. It is not an update,
it's
so they didn't
bloody
need to say anything.
frustrating. Yeah, they didn't need to. When I read that update, I'm just like, you bitches. Like, seriously, give us a proper update. Tell us what's wrong with him. Tell us how long he's going to be out. Like,
Mm.
it's been the news around Paul Mullin, in my opinion, has been very scarce to come by. There's been a speculation. There hasn't been the communication there. The club's just like, yeah, we'll make an assessment when he comes back. We didn't even know he broke ribs. Like we obviously suspected he broke ribs, but he punctured his lung. We confirmed that, but that was about it. And then it's like, oh yeah, Paul Mullin, we got some good news regarding him. Great. So what's the good news? Tell me what the
And
fucking good news is, because
yeah,
this is what I was kind of like a bit disappointed at with that news, because we get all this juicy stuff from the club and stuff that you can walk around tent polling for a good solid hour once you're here.
oh,
You know,
Yeah, like do you know
like
the like what do you call it? What was it? Rising Week. Oh, I loved finding out about Vistaprint being the back shirt sponsor. That was some juicy fucking goss, mate. Like the club, I'll be real, have really, really missed the point on a lot of announcements per se. Like,
mm,
retweeting Paul Mullin on a flight. Good work. Amazing. Saying he's coming home, great. Saying nothing, not great. Same thing goes with the ticket thing, with the ticket issues they've had, where people have been kicked out of the queue because there's so many people online and all this shit. They've lacked with their response to a lot of things. But yeah, it's just interesting because who knows? By the time this episode comes out, we might know everything about Paul Mullin, and I'm going to look like a right twat when I say, "Oh, it's very strategic why they're not revealing everything." Maybe they reveal it in a couple days. Who knows?
maybe, maybe we'll see. I mean, obviously he's back now. He's back safe. He's with his family, with his son. Um, I just hope we get some news because I just want to know how long he's out for. I want to know how severe the break was that was in his ribs. Like, you know, I just want to know. It's killing me
It's
not
hard.
knowing.
And I mean, but
Uh,
like, someone made a very good point on social media the other day where they said, why do we have a right to know? Like, why is that? And I guess because, people are paid up members, paid season ticket holders, paid up, merch to the nines. Fuck, that's probably where they're getting that entitlement from. But
mm.
also, like, who knows? Like,
And
like you
these
said, it
these
might.
other teams at the moment, they're salivating over the fact that they can come and verse us without Paul Mullin.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think
100%.
the teams we've faced so far have known that and known that we're not as settled up front, and they're taking advantage of that. And they while they can, and I truly believe that. I mean, we are still a target, and
Mm.
geez, I tell you what, when he comes back and he runs out onto that field, oh, that's just that's gonna get me going. That's gonna get me going. Yeah, the
Look, and
tissues
I
will
mean,
come out.
oh fuck, I'm waiting for him to bring up the lube again.
No, I was actually going to say the tissues will come out because I'll cry. I'll have tears in my eyes.
Oh, I really doubt it. So Paul Mullin
You
is,
son of a
yeah,
bitch! You're trying to
yeah,
put words in my mouth again.
mate. I'm not. I don't know. I'm not
Are
putting
you
words in.
trying
I'm
to
just seeing
imply
shit
that I
come
might
out.
have a secret dirty mind? Like, come on. I
I don't
mean,
know if it's a
let's
secret dirty mind or
let's
not. I
not
think
be
it's the whole of
children
the
here,
internet
right?
knows.
Let's not be children here. Let's be mature adults, right? Masturbation is a proper thing that adults do using tissues and KY jelly. Episode sponsor. Get more lube for your tube.
I want to
Anyway,
kill myself. Okay, so
I really went off on a tangent there. I was just like, oh, yeah, no, we'll just go with that. But
I always wonder when like this happens. I always just wonder, like, and this is a question, I guess, for Chris, is when he edits this, because when I make a stumble or I make a maybe something that doesn't land the way I wanted it to land, I don't really have to relive it if I don't want to. I can, if I'm watching the replay, once it's been edited, I watch it on YouTube, I skip over it, oh, I don't want to hear myself talk shit. Yeah, look, I sound like annoying. Chris has to hear himself talk about masturbation and jelly. And honestly, I don't think I could deal with it because for me, it would be like nails on a chalkboard. Not because you said it, but if I heard myself doing it. So, what's it like for you when you're in the editing suite and you hear these things? Is it like, oh, yep, fuck yeah, this is the best? Or do you go, I'm going to leave it in, but I'm going to just skip it? Like, what's it like for you? Is it like singers where they say they can't listen to themselves sing? What's it like for you?
honestly, I get a little chuckle and I get a like if it makes me laugh hearing it back, I know it's going to be all right. So I just
There you go. Fucking love that. And I said this to Chris the other day. I said, don't ever change who you are for anyone because you know what? I might cringe at the time, but when I listen back, I'm like, that's a fucking great gag. I'll be like, that's a good joke there. And then, ends up being a short that that Rousey
Yeah.
puts on,
And
and you can see
I have to say the same. You know, Adrian, he's a great bloke. We have some good chats, good talk. You know, I would say to Adrian, mate, don't change a thing about yourself, but for fuck's sake,
except for
get a
being
tan.
ginger. Yeah, there it is. I knew it. I kind of saw it coming because I was like, Rousey's never said something nice to me in his life at all. So for him to say this, there's going to be a slammer at the end. And I was like, I thought you would go for the being ginger part. So tan, I guess, is part of that. So look, yeah, fair enough. But look, mate, I'm honestly, I'm hoping we got that win against Walsall. We'll find out. You guys will know, the listeners, at this point. I'm very excited to see where we go going forward. I know, like you said, we've got Paul Mullin to come in. I'd love to know if we do end up getting another striker, because I know Parky's saying there is chats happening right now. But is it almost too little too late? Like, I'm not that the season's over, but is it like, well, is Paul Mullin a couple of weeks away and now we don't really need it? Or do we get it as a backup just in case maybe he re-injures himself
Well,
or
maybe that
something
is
like
the
that
good
happens?
news. Maybe Paul Mullin is only a couple of weeks away, and we don't need it.
Yeah,
You
maybe.
know, and you know, all the more power to him. Like,
Yeah, I
really
mean, he's
hope
fucking
that's the
super Paul
case.
Mullin.
I
Yeah.
really hope that's the case, because when he's up front, and what people got to understand, it's not just a one team. It's not about one person in the team. The whole
No.
team puts in an effort. But when Paul Mullin is up front, he draws so much attention from defenders, it leaves holes everywhere else.
Yeah.
And you can literally watch this happen. You watch
Yeah.
him when he's on a run, when, like, say he's on, you know, coming through the back end, he draws two defenders to him instantly,
Yep. Yep.
and sometimes even three. And it
Yep.
literally leaves gaps right down the sides. And that's where obviously Wrexham like to exploit, is going down the sides. So it makes it, you know, he almost always passes it off to the wing and continue his run, and
Mm.
then try and pick up the cross as it comes into the box. Extremely clever, but my point being is it causes um so much hassle for the defenders. No matter what level you are, whether you're Premier League, Championship, like we saw last year, with the
Against, yeah, about
against
Sheffield and
Sheffield and
Coventry.
Coventry, caused
Yeah.
absolute mayhem for the defenders, because they just didn't know,
Where to
like,
go.
how to handle it, because
Yeah.
he is a damn good player. I'm surprised Paul Mullen's not playing in the fucking Premier League, but
Yeah. But
you know,
look, can I segue to that? You did mention, you're like, the team's not about one person, and you're 100% right. I want to know, and I'll talk about my favorite, but I would love to know your favorite player this season that you've seen that maybe surprised you. I'm not saying call player of the season right now, but if you were to call it right now, we've only played a handful of games. Who's been the standout for you? Is it one person?
nah,
Or
like, honestly, I think if I'm to say that, I can't pick one person. My favorite's always going to be Elliot Lee. I love the bloke.
yeah,
Um, but Elliot Lee, Ollie Palmer, Ryan Barnett,
yeah.
um, and Ben Tozer.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, I mean, if you called it last year, that'd be the same best players on the park each time as well. Like, if you read a newspaper from last year, this time last year, I'm sure when it says best players on the park, it'll have those players on it as well. So that's something that for me, but
there
for
you are.
me, it's basically, I've seen two people that haven't been given much of a chance because of injury, and that's Jordan Davies and Luke Young. Luke Young, Captain Luke Young, I mean, he's shown that he deserves to start. I mean, he might start against Walsall, so who knows? But Luke Young against Wigan, immense. When he came on against Wimbledon, again, another just epic. His corner taking is supreme. But Jordan Davies, obviously, we knew his talent already, but when he was missing majority of last season because of injury and we kind of went, okay, maybe, and you see it people get injured and then they become background characters and then they play for another club. That's just how it is. But this guy is one of our own, so it's a bit of a different story. But he's come out with an event. Like, no one comes back in their first game back and does what he did against MK Dons. He was easily our best player in my eyes, against MK Dons. You know, having people like, you know, him against Wigan as well, having so many chances. Those two have been so great. And it's honestly like, I remember seeing the end of last year. Sorry, I'll let you talk in a moment, but at the end of last year, when Ben Tozer lifted the trophy and he still did it with Luke Young, I was like, that's incredible. But I really hope that's not the last time we see Luke Young with a trophy as captain of Wrexham. And honestly, he's proven that he was only left out of last year because when he came back, Parky didn't want to mess with what was working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So he was just keeping the side in, keeping it the way it was, and keeping Luke on the bench. Honestly, now I don't see him not starting. He needs to start. He's playing better, and his presence as a captain is as good as what Paul Mullen's presence is on the park as well. Yes, obviously skill level is different, but Luke Young's just sheer yelling, shouting presence amongst his peers. He's a leader and he shows it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with you on that. And Luke Young on the field, the team look, the team, we've got probably 22 players there that can play in the first team and cause a bit of havoc. And I think that's what I've seen over most of these games so far, is that we still fight. We don't give up. And I implore the fellow beard brethren and Sheilas and fuckheads and all them people that follow us, I implore you just enjoy the ride for now.
Yep.
Let it happen. You know, it'll be over soon.
That sounded so seedy. That sounded okay. What's hilarious is you have said far worse things on this podcast, but still, that's the seediest thing I've ever heard you say.
Yeah, it'll it will come good, right? It'll be all right. It'll come good.
I'm so sorry. Yep, it will come good.
All right. And I have every faith in our team because we still show the same spirit we showed last season. And there will come a time when it will click and we will start winning games. And then you'll see us climbing back up into contention. So that's what I see happening.
Great call.
Honestly, I'm just enjoying for now being back in the league. And I think most fans are probably just enjoying being back in the league. So here's to that.
Enjoy the moment.
Here's to Wrexham. Hopefully we pull off another win tonight. Well, I know that's a weird thing. We say it's tonight. It'll be like really early morning for us. We're going to be getting up at 2:45 in the morning for me, and 5 o'clock for you.
Yeah, 4:30, 5 o'clock. Yeah, 4:45.
So yours is a little more respectable. I can handle that. But
I don't know. 4:30 is still pretty shit. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So on the other side of this, we will wrap everything up. So another week, another podcast. We've got some big things planned coming up in the future with regards to our YouTube channel. So make sure you're paying attention to that. It's going to be good.
Hopefully.
Not going to say what, but if you do want to know a lot of the secrets, then by all means, become a fuckhead, $5 a month. and you get to ask us all these questions, and we will not lie. We'll be like, yeah, this is what we got planned, and we'll.
Oh my God, are we doing this? You can ask anything. All right, that's it. You guys have to ask Rousey the deepest, darkest secrets. The people who are already in the Discord, I'm kind of looking at you here. Please, I want to know these questions because Chris has just said, basically in a court of law, that he will say the truth and nothing but the truth.
That's right, the truth and nothing but the truth. So, but hey, we've got like we do every week, we feature an artist on to wrap things up. Seems to be good, gets the feels going, gets everyone amped. This will obviously be coming out Friday night, ahead of the Swindon game, which is It's going to be really, really good. And we hope everyone has a safe weekend and enjoys enjoys the game. And hopefully we come off with a win.
Hope so. Bloody hope so.
I hope so. So we got Wrockin Wrobin again this week. Wrockin Wrobin, everywhere we go. Is you can follow Wrockin Wrobin on Spotify, follow them on Instagram, Facebook. They're all over. They've got a real good playlist on Spotify, which I quite often put on pre-match to get me
Yep.
going.
And when he
And I
says
don't-
pre-match, that's pre-wank. But yeah,
You just had to.
I
throw
can't
that
do
in
it.
there.
I'm not allowed to be crass.
You just had to throw that in there, didn't you? Wow. I think I'm rubbing
Trying
off on
something
you
here.
too much, mate. I'm rubbing off on you too much.
Or rubbing. Oh, no, you know what? Don't worry about that. That just
I don't care. Just whatever you do, do not use a Wrexham towel as a cum towel, all right? Use a Geelong towel. Anyway,
how am I? How?
listeners, here's Wrockin Wrobin. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.